Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
I'm here to save the day. I'm here to save the day.
Soon I will be invincible. Because comics. Welcome to Because Comics. This is episode 15. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and I'm joined by my co-host, the incendiary, Mike Christensen.
That's very accurate.
It's only I say that because you come in here multiple times with explosives, firearms, in things that explode.
I'm also, I don't know if this was something you were going to get to, but I am also very flammable.
Yeah, it's true. We have to turn off, like, most electronics. Actually, we do this podcast in the dark. We've never talked about that before.
Oh, it's true. Yeah. It's just because I'm so pale, literally anything will cause me to literally burst into flames.
Burst into flames.
Yeah. It's strange that I carry around so many incendiaries.
Yeah, it is weird.
My philosophy is, I know I'm going to burn someday.
So you might as well take...
Everyone's coming with me.
I mean, it's a really selfless thing that you do.
You're all going to join me.
It's a very inclusionary...
In the trauma ward.
You're like the worst vampire, basically. You have all the bad powers of a vampire.
It's like vampires just walked everywhere soaked in gasoline. And it's just like, come at me.
Come at me, bro.
I know it's going to happen.
That's the defense. Vampires should just wear gasoline so that when they catch on fire, they just take other people with them.
Not that I'm a vampire.
I mean, no. I mean, not yet. You know, it's weird. I've never seen you during the daytime because of all the burning.
Right.
So
I literally can't go outside in the
And
daylight.
I'm not your dentist, so I can't confirm or deny anything.
You've also never seen me eat except for Halloween when I drank all that pig's blood.
Right, but I just thought that was, oh my god, so many things are adding up right now.
Hang on.
Okay.
Not a vampire.
Oh, okay.
Because
vampires don't lie. I forgot about that. That's a rule, right?
Yeah. Shh. No. Yes. Wait.
What's the right/wrong answer
How
here?
This is all right. This is going off the rails.
Completely off the rails. Just getting us back, just slowly pulling us over. Guys, like we kick off each one of our episodes, we're going to do our pull list.
We're going to talk about what we're reading. Jay, what comics are you reading?
I am reading a very interesting comic. Now, as of this recording, there's only one issue of this out, but it is called Memetic. So it's Memetic issue number 1 has come out, and the premise of Memetic, now if you can guess already if you know about memetics, or, you know, if you're familiar with the internet and the word meme, Memetic is about a meme that destroys the world. That's the premise.
What?
That's the premise right there, where I actually...
I knew it.
I got this idea from my friend.
I always sensed that this would be how we go down.
He was like, he just told me that premise, and I was like, I have to read this and then share it with people because memetics, guys.
God.
This is so meta. So such a meta pull. Sorry.
Oh, jeez.
So memetic, like I said, the idea basically sells itself, a meme that destroys the world. So our main characters who are following through this story is a boy named Aaron. He's like a teenager, like I believe he's in college. I think that's how they've laid him out here. And then we're also following another man, an older gentleman who's like kind of an old war veteran who's slowly losing his eyesight. Like he has kind of this disease. It's slowly he can only kind of see fuzzy images. He can't see very well. He's going blind. So that's why he's kind of been sidelined. He's no longer in the military, but he still obviously has contacts, as we see as this thing kind of opens up and unfolds in this first issue, because the issue opens with like our main character walking down an alley, stepping on like a destroyed phone and stepping out into an open area, and everything's just destroyed.
Yeah.
There's people like dead on cars.
Oh, is it fresh? Did it just happen?
Like, well, it says like third day or 3 days.
Okay.
So like this happens.
So it's fairly
something bad
recent.
happens in 3 days.
Yeah.
Like there's things on the wall like he's our savior and stuff like that, or like you can trust him. Like really weird, creepy things.
Is it Grumpy Cat?
It's not Grumpy Cat.
I feel like we know we can't trust Grumpy Cat.
It's funny you say that because the meme that is the thing that is the bad thing, apparently, it's called Good Time Sloth. And it's just a sloth sloth that's looking at the camera basically, and like smiling with a thumbs up with one of its claws, and then it's got this weird kind of red and blue like spiral coming out behind it,
like the Hypnotoad.
Yeah, like Hypnotoad from Futurama, the good time sloth. And basically, as the comic, I won't get into like there are some crazy things. Like if you thought what I've said already is crazy, just read the first issue. It is so fun. There's some wild moments.
We don't even know
characters you wouldn't have imagined to be in here in this comic, but it's so enjoyable and really plays on the times of like, you know, what people do day in and day out. Like, hey, this meme, check this out, haha, included in emails and texts and stuff like that. And it's really funny, it's really smart, and it actually gets into the science of memetics, which is something I didn't really know too much about, and really kind of how it's made its way into society today. So guys, Memetic, it's written by James Tynion the Fourth, and it's also drawn by Eryk Donovan. So those two are the creators. It's really cool, really wacky, as you can imagine. Definitely check it out. So Mike, that was my pull. What's your pull
sounds
for?
Awesome. I think I'm really going to enjoy that comic, actually.
It-
My pull is very, very different. Mine is The Fade Out. It's an Image comic. It's from Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips.
Ed Brubaker does some good stuff.
And these two have actually been working together for decades. They did, Criminal together for years. They did, I think they did Sleeper. They definitely did Incognito, which was their look at, like, pulps and the sort of, like, what if instead of heroes becoming the main thing of a world, we'd gone more the pulp direction.
Oh, okay.
Where it's much grittier and grimier, and there's more Zeppelins, which is always better.
Look, every story can be better with more Zeppelins. The 90s Batman cartoon show proves this.
And they also did a comic together that was all about, like, Cthulhu-ish kind of stuff. It was really cool, but this comic's called The Fade Out, and it's all about, like, Hollywood noir. It takes place post-McCarthy, post the blacklisting,
the Red Scare,
the Hollywood 10, and all of that. It's like right as that's trailing off.
Hairs in the back of my neck. I love noir, so I'm excited about this.
It's everything they do, because Criminal is an anthology that they do that every miniseries has a new set of characters, and they're all kind of loosely connected to each other in the way that, like,
it's like The Wire,
Sin City or Wire, exactly.
Okay.
But like that means that you don't know if people are gonna die or if anything's who's gonna survive, and it's just about people making terrible decisions. The Fade Out is that, but with all the glamour of old Hollywood and all of the terrible decision making that comes from being a member of old Hollywood,
right?
And all the politics involved, and it's kind of like Hollywoodland. If you remember that movie,
I do. That movie I remember seeing, being like, I walked out of the theater thinking, this is one of the saddest films I've ever seen.
It's really distressing,
so sad.
And like the whole idea is that like the big media mogul, the producer guy, will arrange situations like beatings or whatever to get his way. We exist in a world in The Fade Out where, I don't want to get too into the details, but just to say that, like, something happens in the first issue and one character finds himself in the middle of something, tries to cover it up, and then it gets covered up way too well in a way he could not have arranged.
Oh,
and he's like,
so clearly someone else had a hand in this.
This was already gonna happen. I was just inconsequential.
Right.
This is awful. And now he's
a loose end, possibly.
He's exactly. Is he a loose end? Does he owe it to this? To what happened?
Right. I
to
did you this favor, so
or does he? Is it on his shoulders to find out the truth and find out what actually happened? By doing that, does he put himself more compromised? He is in a very tenuous position with, like, his writing partner was blacklisted, so he's in crosshairs at any given moment, and it's really interesting. They also have the way old movies would open with the credits, and they'd say, here are your players. It opens with the players, and it shows all their faces and his description, and they all have a little description, and his in the first issue is screenwriter, part-time reprobate. And seeing that on page 1, I was like, okay, I'm in. I'm on board, because Ed Brubaker used the word reprobate. And I'm all for it.
We were all on board with that word.
But it's a really interesting. I mean, they do noir better than I think anyone.
Is the comic in, like, black and white?
It's not. It's full color. It's in full color.
Okay.
Well, it's in sort of muted colors, but that's kind of their aesthetic already.
Yeah, that's their thing.
Another cool thing is on the cover or at the back page. I don't remember, but they have little, like, publicity shots from fake movies.
Oh,
like they'll have, like, a little picture of, like, an actor who's in the book, and they'll say, like, so and so in, like, the everlasting night or whatever it is, like,
And it's like some guy dipping a girl with like a werewolf behind them,
or exactly, or it's just like him in a fedora smoking a cigarette.
Right.
And it's like either
staring out a window with a fan in the background.
It's just like, it's great because it just sets the mood that this is this full world of movies that there are real movies they talk about, but there's also a bunch of fake ones.
So they do use some actual real life.
Well, they don't
studio
use
films.
They don't use them in there. They use them in context. They talk about RKO, but who did like King Kong and stuff much earlier, but the real studio. But they're obviously talking about a fake studio and fake movie stars because they can't talk about real ones.
Do they bring up some like really ridiculous fake movies?
Not as far as ridiculous, because the tone isn't that wild.
Okay.
You know, it feels very believable. But another thing they do, and this is something that Ed Brubaker does a lot in his comics.
Okay.
He'll have essays in the back. Not that he's written, but that like people write.
Okay.
So when he was doing, for example, Incognito, which was all about pulps, he'd have people like Jess Nevins, who's like a big comic book scholar. He does all like the annotations for League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, that kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
And he's doing essays about like the Shadow and the Spectre and like that kind of thing, you know, the Spider and all these old characters.
Right.
And did a fake one for the last issue about one of the pulp characters in the comic, which is a lot of fun. Like as if it had been real, which was great. But they're doing essays in the back of this book that's all about like real tragic old Hollywood stories.
Oh, okay.
Like the first one is about Peg Entwistle, who famously threw herself off of the Hollywoodland sign.
Oh, okay.
And it's like this famous story that she was like the struggling actress who people really admired, and she was so close, and they were like...
Is that kind of a reference to that film, The Black Dahlia, which had a little bit of that like old Hollywood gone bad, basically?
Well, I mean, that's a real story.
Right.
I mean, the Peg Entwistle is a real thing. And
Okay.
like, you know... but I think the comic is all about that. It's all about the evil, the twisted nature
right, the
of Hollywood. Not evil, but the sort of...
Twinkle Town not being so shiny, basically.
Exactly. It's a really great comic, and I think you guys will all really enjoy it if you are like me.
I love period stuff and noir, so yes, I'm going to read that.
I'm surprised you actually don't read more of his image work, because this is what he does.
Clearly, this is my blind spot, clearly.
His comic Fatale, which is the kind of Cthulhu-ish one. It's about a femme fatale, but there's like...
Wait, it's just called Fatale?
Just called Fatale.
And it's noir with Cthulhu.
You would love it.
Guys, this podcast is going to end early. Thank you for joining us. This is episode 15.
Guys, check out The Fade Out and check out Memetic. These both sound great.
Yeah. Great for very different reasons, but I cannot wait. We should just switch. Just like, here, you read this, you read that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that was our polls for the pull list, and now this brings us to our main segment. Mike, kick things off.
The Spectre, number 6. Pilgrims of Peril. So this is issue of The Spectre from the 60s, 1968. It's written by Gardner Fox, penciled by Jerry Grandenetti, and inked by Murphy Anderson.
Huh.
And it's sort of a Thanksgiving tie-in, guys. It's kind of Thanksgiving time.
We're getting close,
We're getting close.
The turkey is thawing.
Exactly.
You just killed it, probably.
Exactly. And this story opens in Gateway City, where a bunch of ragged, like... partly decayed pilgrims emerge from garbage cans and closets. At first, they seem like specters.
Is this in present time?
Yeah, well, the 60s, but yeah.
But
We are in the present, and this guy just sees a hand come out of a trash can, and then this pilgrim climbs his way out. It seems spectral, but then it takes on the form, but it's got ragged clothes.
So it starts out like in kind of like a wobbly ghost type figure,
well,
and then solidifies?
As it's like pulling itself out, at least according to the art. It sort of has a spectral quality to it. But there's 4, undead-ish pilgrims. They don't look rotted, but they are definitely not...
They're definitely not alive.
They're definitely not of the world of the living.
Right.
And they force the citizens to flee the quarter. This is the quarter where they used to live, where they first settled.
Okay.
And they need to clear it of unbelievers if the incantations are to be effective.
There is a lot going on at the start of this.
We're on page 1. That's the top of page 2.
Whoa!
And then the crowds flee, but there's this little boy named Billy who runs back to get his water pistol.
Important.
Yes, this will...
Because he saw the movie Signs, and he knows that sometimes water is the answer.
It's exactly right.
Yeah.
Captain Jim Corrigan shows up, and this is the Spectre. Now, for those who may not know the character of the Spectre, he's this cop named Jim Corrigan who is killed brought back and fused with the spirit of God's wrath, basically. The spirit of vengeance.
Yeah.
Not the Ghost Rider demon one, but the will of God, like, pretty sure angel of death kind of deal-y thing.
Yeah.
That kind of deal.
And that's basically, and he wears like a big green cloak with
Yep.
like a hood, and
And he's got white
is
skin.
he naked under that cloak?
No,
What's
no,
going on
he's
there?
got green briefs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he sort of shares his body with this character.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at this point, they're still kind of separate entities. They share the body together, and they kind of have to spend a certain amount of time together, but they can split off and do other things.
Right.
So Corrigan shows up, and he finds this fog has surrounded this area of town, sort of warning off outsiders. But this little boy, Billy, is still inside, and he can't get out. So...
It's like an interesting take on that, like, kids stuck in the burning building.
Exactly.
But with supernatural pilgrims.
The Jim and the Spectre split up.
Okay.
Jim's going to go take down these pilgrims, who are tangible. They're physical things.
So he can punch them and...
Presumably.
Or reason with them, who knows?
Who knows? It won't be reason with them. He
Okay.
won't reason with
Probably
them. I'll
not.
just spoil right there. Spectre, he's going after Billy, who is on like the astral plane. He has somehow left our world, and he's on the astral plane.
Oh.
So Spectre goes to this weird landscape of like twisted trees and rocks, and
So it looks like a Salvador Dali painting,
it's very,
basically.
like Technicolor ground, and even it's very interesting. And he finds the boy. He's being forced to empty a lake by shooting the water with his gun into a small hole, which is tedious and ridiculous, and he even knows this, but he can't stop.
So it's like kind of like a torturous, like that, you know, what is it, Atlas or someone has to keep...
Sisyphus has to keep
rolling the big
hill.
boulder up the hill and can never get it over.
Sort of, yeah, where he's like, I can't stop myself from doing it, and as soon as the Spectre shows up, he is similarly compelled, and he's taking his hands...
Oh, and now he's helping the
he's
boy.
cupping his hands and trying to pour the water into the hole.
Shit.
It's not going very quickly, so the Spectre's like, well, I can fix this, I can make this go faster, and he kind of has to.
Right.
So he flies in the air and he creates a whirlwind and siphons all of the water into this hole. Well, the minute he does that, everything goes really, really badly because a demon appears named Nawor, Nawor, who I will try desperately not to call Namor, even though it just looks the same, but I flipped the M upside down.
Right.
But he's the demon lord of the realm of Giempo, and he starts throwing rocks and trees at the Spectre, and they start fighting.
Oh, wow. So it got heated pretty fast.
Oh yes, very much so. And he can like control the environment, so he can make water like shoot up
in
out
the
of the
astral
ground, and he can like it's his domain.
Oh,
This is
okay.
his world. So like the Spectre will throw things at Nawor, and it will fly around him and like not hit.
Yeah, it's basically like, you know, Freddy Krueger in a nightmare, like, you're in my playground,
Exactly.
basically.
But things from our world can harm Nawor. So Spectre has Billy empty his pockets because, you know, he's got all kinds of trinkets. And
Got some jacks in there.
The Spectre has weird powers where he can like manipulate matter. It's all very like metaphysical.
Okay.
It's not like, oh, I can take this item and because of the matters I can do this and the atoms and stuff. It's just I can make this really big or turn this and make it animate against you. It's all about vengeance and ironic punishments and stuff.
Interesting.
He's very powerful. So he takes this marble, makes it huge, and throws it at Nawor, and it's effective because it's from the earthly realm.
Yeah, it's not his astral plane marble.
Exactly. He takes a top and does the same thing, a spinning top, and hits him with it, and then he ties Nawor up. Oh, we know he hits him with Billy's shoe, too. He makes it really big and, like, hits him with it.
It's like, this has been working for me so far. Make it big, hit him with it, make it
here's
big.
my shoe, use this! And then he takes the ball of string and, of course, makes it extra long and ties up Nawor, ties him to a tree.
Nice.
And, you know, pretty much sews it up.
All right, well, time to leave.
And yeah, we're on, like, page 5, and he's like, all right, here we go. But he feels the pilgrims chanting. And we learn, I'm not sure if he discerns this or if we just know this because the narrator's filling us in.
Right.
But 300 years ago, these pilgrims were in England, and they were practicing their weird Nawor religion. And
Are we sure they weren't trying to summon Namor and they just got one of the letters wrong?
it's funny you say getting things wrong, because the head of their order is reading the scrolls, and he realizes they've been practicing their religion wrong. They don't have everything they need. They have to get these talismans, and then they will be able to get what they need.
Right.
Summon
To get Nawar.
Summon Nawar to their will. But
it's like to make him do what they want, basically.
Exactly.
Oh.
To kind of make a deal with him.
Necromancers and sorcerers, man, they just don't learn.
Yeah, demonology, man. Don't.
This'll work, right? It's
Just
never worked before, but I mean,
don't.
it'll work now.
But because they were missing stuff.
Ah.
So, but now let's do it. Oh, but before they can, they're driven out of England. Because they're crazy people. They're people who are crazy.
Right. Not the best to have in your neighborhood.
No. But they come to the New World, and who's there? Well, a bunch of friendly indigenous people.
Of course.
Let's get the trinkets we need from them.
Seems easy enough.
Well, all you have to do is they lull them into a false sense of security, basically. They just say, yeah, we just want to be friends with you Indians and stuff. And then they steal the talismans they need. The talismans they need are the aged antlers of a deer, ancient shell money.
Ancient shell money.
That's all the narration says.
Apparently that's the only trade in commerce in Demonland is shell money.
Stone covered with writing so old the Indians have forgotten what it means. I don't know if that's what the scroll said.
So, like,
but just
that would be very interesting if it was oddly that specific. It's like, wow, I guess it's a good thing we got kicked out of England.
we wouldn't have.
Because we
actually no, we should have been there. That's where all the really old stones are.
Yeah, apparently.
Damn it. It's alright, we found one here.
Yeah, we found some.
This old stone with ancient writing, and a time-rotted wood in the shape of a bark scroll. Which is very cool, and I like that's very specific and
I was going to say, like,
challenging.
I guess it is very challenging. I guess it's like, look, you can't easily summon a demon to your will with, like, scissors and some yarn in your house. Like,
Right.
you gotta find some old shit.
You gotta work for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but before they can summon, Nawar, the Indians figure out what was going on and kill them.
Right.
Because, like, obviously, that's what you do. That's
Hold on a
this is
second.
the only-
You're saying they took our old special stone and that magic wood, and yeah, some shit's going wrong here.
Hey, man, they stole my shell money. I'm going after those guys.
They drew the line at shell money.
We are a beachfront community, and that perfectly unnecessary
My daughter
money...
made a beautiful picture with these shells, and you ripped them right off.
Seems weird that we use shells as currency since we live on the beach. Seems like you
Yeah.
just pick one up and be rich, but whatever.
Look, maybe it was a utopia, Mike.
The
Pilgrims are terrible, man.
It may have
just
been.
terrible.
But one of them, as they're being killed, one of them is able to pray to Nawar, who has just enough power to ensure that 4 of them will return to life one day
So they hocus pocused it.
every century.
Perfect.
Yeah, they will come back once a
Wait,
century.
one of them will? Or 4 of them?
Four of
Okay.
them will come back for one day, once a century, to try to complete their work. So they seek out these totems in the present day. Here they are. They go into museums and stuff, or libraries, and they smash up display cases.
To get all the pieces.
They find them very quickly. Because, it's been 200 years, and now those things are actually...
special.
Special, exactly. So they return to the site of their former altar, and they start worshipping Nawar. They're doing these chantings. Jim Corrigan finds them, and they're in front of this fireplace, and the fire is blazing, and they're chanting things like Cthulhu Thala, Cthulhu, or whatever. Like, it's almost Cthulhu.
Almost Cthulhu,
It's
yeah.
so close. And Corrigan even says, it's like something out of H.P. Lovecraft. And I'm like, yeah, it's funny how that works out, Corrigan. Good job. He jumps out to arrest them, and is immediately surrounded by coils of fire.
Oh.
Because they're demonologists, and this is what they do.
Now, when Spectre's separate from him, is he, like, vulnerable?
They are
Or-
both vulnerable.
Oh, okay.
They are both... They need each other. If one goes, that is not good. I don't know exactly how the relationship works. I don't know if it's like Thor with Donald Blake, where they really can't be separated, or really
Right.
shouldn't be, or even like the Hulk and Banner or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's not great for anybody.
Never split the party, guys.
Never split the party.
Especially if your other half is a super powerful vengeance angel monster.
Who is only so powerful. Because he, speaking of splitting the party, is trying to get back to Earth. But for some reason, it was so easy to get
To the astral plane.
Gampo, he can't get back. He's trying to break through these astral barriers, but there's more than there were on the way in. And he's trying to figure out why. It's because Nawar has all this new power because of the chanting. He breaks himself free because, and this is the best part, because the chanting sent magic flames into Giempo, which burned away your earthly twine.
Wow.
But he's free, and he's loose, and he's crazy powerful. And
Clearly.
And he will do the bidding of the demonologists. He'll bring them wealth and prosperity. And for himself, for just a little something for Nawar.
Just for him.
He'll dominate the earth.
Okay. Small.
You gotta do
Small
you.
piece.
Do you, Nawar.
You gotta do you, Nawar.
So they're back on Earth now. All 3 of them.
Okay.
Spectre,
So he's
and
made it
Nawar, and Billy. They're all back on the Earth. And Nawar is basically invulnerable now because the chanting has empowered him. He is in a world where a minute ago all of these things could hurt him.
But
And
now,
Spectre
not
is
so
testing this. They're throwing things at each other. They become giants and they fight over the city, like on top of...
Like kaiju style.
Not quite that tall yet.
Okay.
But they're pretty... Actually, yeah, comparable to kaiju. And they're like in the junkyard, and Spectre grabs a handful of abandoned cars and wads them together and melds them into this giant ball, trying the same trick, basically like the marble, but on this oversized. Right? Does not work. Nawar answers, "Fool! Do you think I would come here if you could defeat me so easily? No, Spectre! Such earthly trifles no longer have power over me." So the trick of use things of Earth against this guy is now bogus.
Right. Or maybe only applies in astral plane land.
Well, there, he had some vulnerability.
Right.
But here, he is much more powerful.
Yeah.
And Spectre is trying these other tricks. He wears this cat's eye gem, which is apparently good at warding off demons.
Okay.
No effect. He somehow gets his hands on a giant silver coin. I assume he just makes it giant.
He just makes it giant. Okay.
Because silver...
I think I had this in my pocket.
Silver's effective against werewolves and lycanthropes and vampires.
There's a lot of that in that old demonology. There's a lot of those metals, like iron is good against these, silver's good against those.
He's hopeful it could work against a demon. Nothing. No luck. Spectre, at this point, they're getting huge. They're over
they keep growing.
They're over the clouds, and Nawar grabs the Spectre and hurls him against the jagged walls of the Grand Canyon. You'll remember we were on the eastern seaboard.
Holy crap!
That's a good throw. Meanwhile, Billy runs and finds Detective Corrigan trapped in these flaming coils, and he's like, "It's okay. I have a water pistol." And Corrigan's like, "Kid, these are flaming coils made by a demonologist. That's not going to work." And the kid's like, "Yeah, this is full of the water of Jiempo. Like, it's going to work." And he sprays it, and it douses the water. Because it's magic water, or douses the fire. It's magic water.
See, guys, signs. It's the answer to all of the problems.
So anyway, Corrigan goes in, and he beats up the Pilgrims. He's like, "You're under arrest." And beats the hell out of them.
Arrest for being Undead Pilgrims who are summoning demons. I don't need to list these things.
I'm sure we'll find out which law this breaks.
Figure it out later. First, I'm arresting you.
At the very least, trespassing.
At the very least.
And theft. These totems aren't yours anymore.
Yeah. And wrongful misting. I mean, this has got to be in there somewhere, right?
Abducting a child.
That's a big one.
Child endangerment at the very least.
At the very least.
But he cuts their chanting short, so Nawar is not all powerful.
Oh.
Not quite. Meanwhile, Spectre is backed up against a wall. Well, it's not a wall, actually, it's a tree. And then he realizes Nawar, backwards, is Rowan. The tree he's against is a mountain ash tree, also called a Rowan tree. Now, which, according to superstition, is one of the most potent charms against evil, is Rowan wood. And it may just be sheer coincidence that his name is that backwards, but it's my only hope. So he grabs this tree and just hits Nawar with it. It banishes all of Nawar's magic. It all goes out of his body. Literally all his magic just leaves him when he hits him with a tree.
So, I was going to ask this question earlier, and I didn't.
Okay.
When you were saying how Spectre's powers work, how, like, he can just bend things, and sometimes, it's very metaphysical, I was going to ask you the question, are his powers Deus Ex Machina incarnate? And I believe the answer is yes.
Well, here's the thing. He didn't make this wood.
Right.
He found this wood. To answer your question of Deus Ex Machina, the God Machine, he is the will of God.
So I guess it fits.
He is the wrath of God. So he is a Deus Ex Machina by design.
And he's just like, the perfect tree to hit this guy with. There we go.
Yeah, it was bound to happen.
Right. Who fighting a werewolf? Who left this gun loaded with silver bullets out here?
Perfect.
My, bam.
Thanks Chekhov. Anyway, Spectre, he senses that the gym has overcome the Pilgrims, so he flies Nawar back to Jiempo, and he pins him under the tree, just leaves him there.
Oh.
He's like, all right, well, this isn't ever going to be a problem again. And he goes back to return to Corrigan and Billy, and Corrigan's like, yeah, I'm going to arrest these Pilgrims, they're unconscious, and then they see...
He's still going with arresting them, by the way.
Until they crumble into dust.
Okay.
Because Nawar's magic has left them. So they are left to succumb to the ravages of time once again. And it ends with the line, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, as the dust of these pilgrims blows out the window.
Oh.
And then right underneath is an ad of, Superman holding a, an amusement park in his hand and like, hey kids, and it's so weird because it's halfway through the page
That is
the
really
story
weird.
stops and there's just a house ad. It's so bizarre.
That's a really creepy ending to that comic.
Very strangely timed, like just in the middle of okay, ashes to ashes and dust to dust. Be my guest at America's greatest amusement park, Palisades Amusement Park, New Jersey.
I don't know how to feel about this.
It's amazing.
Why'd you want to go to the amusement park again? I don't know. I just hate Pilgrims. I feel weird.
Anyway, guys, on that note, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. In fact, we recommend that you tell this story to your friends and family on Thanksgiving. It will make a great Thanksgiving
Guys,
tale.
do you know the real story behind Thanksgiving? Let me tell you about the creature called Nawar. By the way,
Now, we're all familiar with Undead Pilgrims, right? Okay, great. Okay, I just want to set the stage.
By the way, quick postscript: the name of the letters column of the Spectre, because they all have fun names. Like Punisher's mail column for a while was "Let's Be Frank,"
Right.
or there's the classic Spider mail and things like that. The name of the letters column is Spectre Graphs.
Awesome. Well, that was a very Thanksgiving-y question mark, but also really crazy main segment. So, guys, again, happy Thanksgiving. And for your Thanksgiving Day treats, we're now going to have, of course, our game segment, Super Mundane. Alright guys, this is Super Mundane. This is the game where I will name a mundane task or activity, and Mike and I are going to have to try to figure out which hero is going to be the best or worst at this activity or completing it. So Mike doesn't know what I'm going to say here, so
True.
The Super Mundane task or activity for this episode is who would be the best and worst tour guide.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Now I have a follow-up question.
Sure.
Where is this a tour of?
See, that's the thing. I'm not 100% sure where
It
this
depends
tour
on
would
who
be.
it is.
This can be dependent on who it is. Now, it could be like, hey, please tour, if you're Wonder Woman, right? Let me give you the beautiful tours of Themyscira.
The Grand Tour, yeah.
And to be honest, a pretty sweet tour of Themyscira would be awesome. Because, not that many people get to go there. I think you have to be a badass Amazon to live in Themyscira.
But men can't set foot on that island.
Oh, they can't?
No, they're not allowed.
My
to set
lore
foot.
on Themyscira is 100%, but they can't even, touch ground.
They are not allowed to set foot on Themyscira.
Oof.
So you could be a tour guide to about 50% of the population, 51 depending on the stats
So not
we're
the
looking
best
at.
tour guide.
Not the best. Here's my pitch: Kitty Pryde.
Kitty Pryde.
Kitty Pryde taking you on a tour of the X Mansion, where she can walk you right through the danger room and you won't get hurt because she can use her phasing powers.
That's true.
She's very kind of calming and chipper and friendly. She's been there since she was 13. She went to school there for the first time.
Uh-huh.
She was the youngest student they'd ever had, and now she's a teacher, and she's the one who can take you past the weird, psychic lockers or whatever they are.
The best part about that is, there's literally no fear. A lot of the tours is please stay in this groups, don't touch anything.
Yeah.
And sometimes tours are restricted.
I mean, if
because
anyone
they don't want
takes
you touching anything.
anyone takes you on a tour of the Baxter Building, you're going to get sucked into some alternate dimension.
Yep.
You can't go on a tour of the Batcave for obvious reasons. Superman's not really going to take you on a tour to the Fortress of Solitude.
Right.
He'll take one person.
Yeah.
It doesn't
special
lend
person.
itself to tour groups.
Yeah.
Really particularly well.
Because it become a bit cheesy if everybody's just rolling through the Fortress of
Well,
Solitude.
it's the Fortress of Solitude.
Exactly.
You
It
can't
kind of
do
defeats
tour
the purpose
groups.
of the Fortress of Solitude. I wonder why.
But
I thought you were actually going to say, when you said Kitty Pryde, I immediately thought of tour through the center of the earth, because she can do that.
she can.
She
That's
can
the
just
thing.
hold hands and just drop through the earth.
She can take you to the Mole Man's location. She can kind of take you anywhere.
pretty much anywhere. She is actually the
She's
perfect
the
tour
best
guide.
tour guide because she's like, hey, do you want to go backstage of Disney? Whoop, we're backstage at Disney now,
Yeah.
and you can see this. She's also really wicked smart.
Yeah.
She'd have the facts.
That's true.
Because if someone like Wolverine's a good tour guide for the Savage Land in that he will not let you die, but he's not going to be a tour guide. He's like a
Right.
safari guide.
He's going to ridicule you for almost dying most of the time.
At best, he's a Sherpa.
Yeah.
And even then, he's not going to Sherpa you. He's just going to hey, oh, what kind of indigenous plant is this? The kind that kills you when you eat it.
Yeah, don't touch that.
it. I mean, I can
Here,
eat
drag this cooler for me. It's filled with beer.
it. Exactly. So she's the one who could actually, know the stats of wherever she's going. She'd study up. She'd do the research. She could just do an improvised tour guide. If you were just going to Italy, she would do the research.
Yeah.
She'd know her stuff.
And look, she works with kids. She teaches kids. So, like,
She's a
if you
teacher
can
now.
discipline and keep them interested and engaged, I mean, I'd take a Kitty Pryde tour. Absolutely.
And look, let's be fair. If you go, and we've talked about this before, if you go on any sort of activity, excursion, trip with an X-Man, you will be attacked.
Yes.
That's an inevitability.
It has
For
to
most
happen.
heroes, but especially X-Men and Spider-Man. She was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. You're going to be fine.
Yeah. Also, you're the best person to get attacked with. Just go intangible and just walk out of there.
Hey,
basically.
everybody, hold my hand.
Everybody hold hands. We're getting out of them. We're stepping off the moon base, or basically
Exactly.
whatever it is.
Exactly.
So-
I think she's the best.
Yeah, I think she is the best. I mean, you can literally walk through a volcano with Kitty Pryde. Oh,
Yeah.
you wanted to tour the center of a sun. You know, here we go.
Maybe not a sun.
Maybe not the sun. Maybe we're taking these powers a bit too far,
but
everybody.
a volcano, absolutely. And that
Absolutely.
would be very educational.
It would be. How often are you going to get that close? And you can get that close with Kitty Pryde. Man, that is an awesome answer. Okay.
So,
Who would be
she's the best. Who's the worst?
Who's the worst?
We touched on Wolverine. He's always a good one, but he's not the worst.
He's definitely not the worst because, like you said, the guy's been around the world. I mean, from what he can remember, right?
Yeah. Oh, even since then, he's wandered the world trying to figure out why he knows Japanese or whatever. And like,
So who would be like a recluse who would just be god awful at giving tours? Because all of them, it's interesting because a lot of
the Punisher.
The Punisher would be a terrible tour guide.
I mean, you need patience.
Yeah.
First things first.
He also, doesn't care about anything beyond vengeance and murdering.
He feeds the beast. That's all he does.
And he is a recluse. I mean, he doesn't study areas unless they have a good vantage point for a sniper rifle.
Exactly.
Like, how many rockets can I fit in there? It doesn't matter. So if you had to be like, hey, can you just walk our family through the Coliseum? If that'd be great. He's like,
Too many exposed areas.
too many exposed areas.
Hey, can you take me on a tour of Disneyland? I murdered a man on the monorail.
Oh my god!
What?
Punisher tour would just be the greatest hits of the kills that he's had.
Or even just like he'd walk through, it's like, oh, look, it's Disneyland. I could kill someone with that. What? Yeah, you just tie them up.
Yeah, those balloons, and then they just strangle them
Thunder
up.
Mountain Railroad comes through, slices them in half. Yeah, that's
Pulls
what
out
you
a
do.
notepad, just Thunder Mountain Murder.
Yeah.
I guess it would be like for community service, because come on. That's how it would be. Frank Castle had to do community service and give a tour of an amusement park, and it was the worst tour ever.
Or literally anywhere. An old west town.
Definitive answer. We've got Kitty Pryde is the best tour guide.
AKA Shadowcat, AKA Sprite, AKA Ariel.
Oh my
All the
God.
friendliest names you can come up with.
And by the way, Shadowcat Guides or Shadowcat Tours is a pretty badass
That
name.
is a great tour guide company.
And Castle Tours can also work. But it would be
Unfortunate.
very misleading. We signed up for Castle Tours.
They took us on a tour of the castle. Yeah, come up to this turret. By the way, I know what you did last summer. Shove.
It's weird. Castle Tours doesn't have any reviews on Yelp.
I don't remember applying for this.
Fun fact, Mafia hitmen can't resist a free pamphlet.
Oh dear.
Jeez. All right. So, Kitty Pryde, best answer. Frank Castle, worst answer for best tour guide. All right, guys. Well, that was episode 15 of Because Comics. We'll be posting a new episode every other week. If you'd like to download more episodes or check out other similar podcasts, head over to partialarc.com. That's arc with a C. Of course, you can email us any questions at becausecomics@gmail.com. Or, of course, leave us some reviews on iTunes or leave us some comments. It helps people find the show and get us out there.
Yep, the more 5-star reviews we get, the more people know about the show.
Absolutely. So please leave those there, and be sure to check out more content from our comic boy wonder, Mike Christensen, at supergeekmike.com and on the Twitter handle at supergeekmike. Thanks for listening, and remember,
Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers.
oh,
You see this watch? See this watch?
please do the whole scene.
That watch costs more than your car. I'm not going to do the whole
We're not going to do the whole
scene.
scene, guys. Because comics.